So I wanted to quickly go over some details about what we know so far about Battlefield 6. This is just the information that I could gather. If there's more information that I don't include in the video, that's just because I wasn't able to find it or it came out after the video. But anyway, before we start today's video, remember to leave the video a nice, thick, and juicy like. Of course, if you enjoy this kind of content, you want more like it, be sure to hit that big red, sexy subscribe button. Also, got to shout out my channel members. You guys are awesome. You help make these videos possible. Thank you so very much. If you want to join and get access to the exclusive perks that they get, then be sure to hit that blue join button. Anyway, let's begin. First of all, we know it's coming to both last gen and current gen consoles. Now, there will be some differences between the two consoles, with previous gen PS4 and Xbox One being capped at 64 players, with the current gen being able to jump up to 128 players, which is going to be just epic. Now, there won't be a campaign, but the story elements will apparently be woven into multiplayer. I will talk a little bit more about what I think about that later in the video. I also want to talk about classes are apparently being replaced by specialists. I know in my previous video I kind of said that specialists will be included in the squad. I'm not still very clear as to how those are going to work. Again, wait until Sunday and we'll probably see exactly how these are going to be woven up. Apparently, you're not even going to have a squad. You're basically going to have one character, and then you have like a specialization or like a specialist kind of perk to it that will give you, I guess, your class role kind of replacement deal. And then you can customize around that as to what weapon you want, what kind of a role you want to play, things along those lines. This does kind of open up a lot for customization, but I don't know how well this is going to be for balance. If, say, you got a medic who wants to camp on a hill with a sniper rifle just to heal himself, it's not going to be very fun, but we'll have to see. I mean, it could be something that works out pretty well, but it'll be interesting. It reminds me a lot of Battlefront 2015, to be honest. There were no classes. You just kind of customized, quotes on customized your character and then just went to work that way. It'll be interesting. There's also something called the Plus system, and this lets you swap weapon attachments on the fly, which I can definitely see a use for. Just think if you got, say, your DMR set up for some long-range engagements on a more open map, but then you approach B point and you need to swap to maybe a short barrel, reflex sight, and I don't know, a stubby grip, so you have better hip fire, who knows. And you just go in and that way you can have a little bit quicker rate of fire. You can even swap the ammo type, so maybe you drop down to, I don't know, 9mm or 5.56 down from a 7.62, if that's even possible or even makes sense. And that way you get a little bit higher rate of fire. Who knows? You still got to pull the trigger a lot. I don't know, but it'll be fun. It'll be interesting. We can't wait to see more about that. I could 100% see myself using that a lot, and this definitely favors more skilled players, which I really like to see, because how many of us are going to be alive long enough to be able to use that? Exactly. So definitely favors more skilled players and definitely will be used quite a bit. Now, as for vehicles, you can call them in anytime, anywhere. You can just make the call on a tablet or whatever and it drops it in. This is great because, say you're in the middle of one of these massive maps and you really need to get to the objective, but it's really far away, you can call it in, drive to it. But there's also a little bit of a tactical thought to this, because if you call it in, you're also giving away your position. So be careful when and where you do that. If you're pinned down by a sniper or a squad of, you know, a couple of LMGs and a sniper, and they're pinning you down, you call in the vehicle, you can use that, but you got to be careful because they might hit you. Might also try to move around them, but if you call it in then you give away your position. Just, you know, things like that. You want to think about it. Now, within the vehicles, you can have different roles within it depending on how many seats are filled up. This is really great. This obviously is back to like kind of classic Battlefield. Each seat has its own kind of thing it can do. I think that's really cool. This can be anti-aircraft, operating machine gun, grenade launcher. Hopefully there's like a flamethrower or something like that. That's going to be pretty darn cool, to be honest. So I'm very excited about that. For those of you out there who maybe don't want to play against multiplayer, maybe the servers aren't filling up enough, or maybe you just want to have a little relaxation time in the multiplayer but not have to deal with other players, there is an AI mode where you can play with and against other AI players. I think this is really cool. If you remember Battlefront 2's co-op AI, it was fantastic. If that's what's being implemented here, that is going to be a massive thing for the longevity of the game. Obviously, it's a live service. They're planning on on it going a long time, but say, you know, way down the line in the future, people are still playing it. Maybe they can't fill up a server on their favorite map. They can go out and they can do that. It's also going to be great, I think, for content creation. Your people that make cinematic trailers and whatnot, they'll be able to just go in and record in an offline environment and just see whatever chaos the AI can come up with. I think there's a lot of cool features to that. Again, you can just kind of do it up how you want to, with or without friends, with as many people as you want or as few people as you want. Now, I also want to go over the maps because they're going to be massive. They got to support 128 players. So you got to have big maps. I mean, come on, you just you have to. So the maps that we're looking at, we saw pretty much all of them in the trailer. We have one called Orbital that I presume is going to be the one with the rocket that we saw. We also have something called Hourglass. This one takes place in the desert. This looks like that kind of rooftop night map, Dawnbreaker looking place. Now, the picture that they use looks like it's during, say, the daytime, but in the trailer, it looks like it's nighttime. So does this mean that that rumor, it was a small rumor about the day-night cycles, could that be true? I think that could be pretty interesting, or they just have night versions of all these maps. I don't know. Could have just been that dark from the sandstorm or whatnot. Who knows? Then we have Kaleidoscope. This looks like a city in South Korea. This looks pretty awesome. This is one of the main ones shown off in the trailer, the one that we see at the end with the massive tornado. Then there's one called Manifest. This is that harbor looking one, the one that gave off the North Shark Canal vibes. That one I'm really excited for. Apparently it also has a little bit of Caspian border influence on it. So this one is hardcore BF3 lovers paradise. So definitely going to be spending some time there. Then there's Discarded, which looks like it has a lot of oil tanker husks just in the desert. This could be as a result of maybe a harbor town in India where this is set has had all of its water recede and all that's left is the carcasses of these tankers. And of course, this would play into the overall kind of narrative of this game. Then there's also Breakaway, which is the one with the Demovan peak jump, but also looks like Operation Whiteout in some other areas. I'm very excited for this one. Just from the jump, that's what I want to do. I just want to spawn in and do that. This one does take place in Queen Maud Land in Antarctica, and you can tell by some of the receding ice on the mountains. I mean, I haven't been to Antarctica, but it looks like the ice is receding a good bit. That's it's definitely some climate catastrophe stuff going on. Lastly, I think this is the most obvious one for the climate catastrophe stuff and how society has divided itself. This one is going to be called Renewal. On one half of the map, you have this lush green kind of paradise looking side, and on the other side, you have this desert kind of with this half sun ring looking thing going on. And in between is this giant wall. And I think this is a sign of societies that divided amongst each other in order to, you know, one side hoards resources, one side is kind of scrounging for what they can. I think this will also add very much to the overall narrative. This could also be why certain factions side with another one, again, in the overall narrative. This one takes place in Egypt, and of course, as you can tell, to grow lush greenery like that in Egypt, you're going to have to be hoarding quite a bit of that Nile River. So anyway, that's it for the maps. Now, these, of course, are going to be central to the main all-out war mode, which is apparently going to be a combination of Conquest and Breakthrough. I love both of those modes, and I'm very happy to see them come through. What I think the big thing about this, though, is I'm hoping this means that the BF1 style operations returns. I hope we get the story through these all-out warfare type of cutscenes, you know, kind of how BF1 gave context to the battles of the Great War in their cutscenes. I hope that's what happens here, where we get a little bit of context to why we're where we are, why this conflict is going on in this particular area. Maybe get a little bit of the perspective of the soldiers that are going to be on the ground, you know, maybe some even propaganda of either side, how that plays in, people who call out the propaganda, people who are against it, or people who are with it. Very interested to see that. I think this is a very good sign of seeing these modes work in tandem with one another, and I'm really excited. Also, the fact that both Conquest and Breakthrough are contributing to this all-out warfare mode, I think means we're going to have some maps that are designed for Breakthrough are going to be for Breakthrough, and the maps designed for Conquest are going to be for Conquest. And that way you can experience them in the intended way that they were designed, with their own narrative behind them. Anyway, that's all I got on BF6 so far. Let me know down below if you guys have any other news you want to talk about. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you. I'm very excited for this game. Let me know your thoughts on it as well. That trailer was awesome, and I cannot wait to see gameplay later in the weekend. So I'll see you guys on June 13th to check that out and give you guys some info on that. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.